Oh, yeah, you're good.
Okay. When you think of reptiles, you probably think of lizards and snakes. What you probably don't think of is turtles. There are many types of turtles, such as the box turtle, red-eared slider, map turtle, and musk turtle, and my very favorite, the yellow-bellied slider. Male yellow-bellied sliders can grow from 5 to 9 inches long, and females grow from 8 to 13. As you can tell, the females are significantly larger than the males. The young turtles, or hatchlings, have bright green and yellow shells, while the adults dull and have brown, black, and dull yellow shells. Their skin is green with yellow markings, and obviously they have yellow bellies. Well, the yellow bellies makes up for part of their name, but what about the other part, the slider? Well, slider comes from when they're basking on rocks and they use their front 2 legs to slide off into the water when they feel threatened. Well, since they can slide off rocks into water, it means that they're both aquatic and terrestrial. They live on land and in the water. In the wild, they live in Florida near swamps, marshes, wetlands, and ponds. In captivity, you have to try to mimic their natural habitat as much as possible because they're not domesticated. So you give them large tanks with basking platforms and heat lamps to mimic the sun. These turtles spend most of the day swimming, eating, basking, and hiding in plants. Now, since I've mentioned basking so many times, I should probably tell you what it is. Basking is when the animal comes up onto the rocks to absorb the sun's rays and heat. Turtles are ectothermic, or are cold-blooded, so they have to regulate their body temperature by themselves, which is something we take for granted because our bodies do it for us. They use basking to heat themselves up and then swimming to cool down. The yellow-bellied slider's diet consists of aquatic plants, insects, and fish. In the wild, they have to spend most of their day foraging for it because it's not handed to them. In captivity, they are fed turtle pellets, lettuce, kale, and feeder minnows. Now, they don't have to do much work to catch those minnows because they're enclosed in a much smaller space than, say, a whole swamp. Now I'd like to show you some turtle anatomy and terminology, but I figured it'd be easier to show you if I had a live turtle to actually show you. This is my turtle, Pally, and she is slightly larger than my other turtle. Now, the top part of the turtle's shell is called the carapace, while the bottom is called the plastron. As you can see, she's a yellow-bellied slider because of her little yellow belly. Now, the part that connects the carapace to the plastron is called the bridge, and it's found on either side of the turtle, here or here. Each section of the turtle's shell is called a scute. If you ever drew a turtle, you probably drew them as little hexagons, but they're actually many different shapes. An interesting fact about the turtle's shell is that it's actually part of their skin. Their skin merges into the shell, so they can't actually come out of it. The turtle's mouth is also called the beak, even though they actually have jaws like people and not beaks like a bird. You might not have known this, but turtles actually have tiny tails. Now, their tails are very small compared to their body size, as, say, a lizard has a very long tail that's almost as large as its body. Now, there's a myth that turtles are actually really, really slow, such as in the tortoise or the hare. Now, I think Callie wants to show you how fast she can actually go. So, normally she walks really fast. I'm going to try to get a shipwreck will walk for us. Okay. So, she's walking pretty slow compared to what she normally does, but when you're working with live animals, they can't always cooperate with you. Now, these turtles make great pets because they are very friendly, colorful, and quite active. But if you're thinking about getting one yourself, you have to be prepared for a very large commitment because they can live for up to 30 years. When you buy a turtle, they probably are only a few weeks old, so they're called hatchlings. So you'll have a very long turtle life ahead of you if you decide to purchase one. I got my turtles around 3 months ago, and I keep them in a 10-gallon aquarium with a log for basking and a little trick-or-treat thing, that bag that I put in there for decoration. Now these yellow-bellied sliders are interesting animals and very rewarding pets. Thank you.